Hello, why should you care what I have to say? I was the first person in the world to hit level 25 of every class, do a no-hit run, and to do gray weapons level 1 roofless. So, real quick, here's going to be a class overview, but before I start that, I'd like to say one thing. This is the worst skill tree in any game I have ever seen. Genuinely, whoever made this skill tree, I want you to go back to making bad homebrew classes on D20, please and thank you. Okay, now, Vanguard is a non-functional class. Literally, the only reason you're playing this class is because it's the third class that has the melter rifle. No, that's literally it. You thought I was joking? Well, there isn't any tech to make this class better. There's nothing cool you can do with it. So, let's just get right into the deep dive, because there is no fucking overview, because this class doesn't have an overview, because the only thing it has is the melta. Right, so contested health regens 50% faster. Cool, who cares? Yeah, it's whatever. This is the first... This is like the kiss of death. This is the mwah, you know? This is the mwah. This is the kiss of death right here. You have a 3-second window to keep this perk active, and you have to land 15 melee hits consecutively at least once every 3 seconds. Mind you, it takes about a second and a half to do a melee hit, even like a quick light one. So they want you to commit to like almost 40 seconds of solid melee to benefit from this. Hey guys, I'm gonna keep it 100% real with you. Even if this was a permanent buff with no decay on it, I still wouldn't use it. Okay, so we're already starting off strong. 3 seconds of decay. Okay, sure. Melee damage increases by... Melee damage increases by 10% against Majoris level or higher enemies. 10% to the worst damage type in the game is awful. Also, the knife is one of the lower damage melee weapons out there. So, you know, the knife is pretty not good in terms of an already not good class of weapons. 10% damage versus specific enemy types doesn't make it any better. Who would have guessed? 10% damage isn't really enough to actually give it a breakpoint against anything. So this is like, you know, who fucking cares? And then the final perk is even worse. After a perfectly timed parry or dodge, you do not lose control upon taking heavy hits. Oh, it's this line of text. But wait, did you think about what this is? 5-second cool. So this wears off after 5 seconds. Right. So I want you to like D&D roleplay a scenario with me real quick. There's 5 trash mobs and an elite. An elite does a blue attack. You perfectly dodge it. You now have 5 seconds where another big attack from an elite won't knock you back. But wait, you just dodged or parried the attack. So you're not at risk of getting hit again. Who designed this perk? Yeah, that's right. So let's say they come at you with a red attack. You perfectly dodge it. Or an orange circle attack, whatever you want to call it. You perfectly dodge it. So now you're away from the danger. Not in any risk of losing control or getting heavy hitted. And by the time another one starts, the 5 seconds will be up. This perk genuinely might activate one fucking time every like 20 missions. But that leads to a much bigger problem of why is it that if 3 elites force themselves on you, they could just kind of put you in a situation where you're effectively stun locked and you have to get hit by one of their attacks. Oh, it's almost like the game fucking sucks. Okay, so yeah. Somehow, some way, a literal do-nothing perk ends up being best. But honestly, all 3 of these perks are so bad, it doesn't matter what you pick. Might as well just fucking roll a dice. Perfect parry window increased by 50% is not a literal do-nothing perk, but considering you have 30 fucking active frames to do a parry, yeah, 30 fucking frames. You know in fighting games to do a parry, you usually get 1 to 3 frames, right? So having a 30-frame window is like giga casual friendly. Dude, a buckler parry in like Dark Souls is only like 5-10 active frames. This game's parry window is so casual friendly that straight up not using a finesse weapon is on par with using a parry specialized setup in Dark Souls. So when you do use a finesse weapon, it's practically impossible to miss. Using a finesse weapon on top of this gives you 45 frames of perfect parry. Why? You will never need that. That's almost a whole second of perfect parry window. That's like 70-year-old man level of reactions. So this is never needed. 20% less melee damage, but 10% more range damage. Oh, what? Is this supposed to synergize with this perk? Throughout this video, I'm just gonna randomly fucking swap between these three to show how little it matters. So what? Am I just supposed to use this and then go into melee with this? Right? Is that the goal? First off, melee sucks. Even with the buff that makes it so parrying trash mobs restores your armor and trash mobs don't take your armor away, that does make this perk significantly better than it used to be. Because before it was just get hit once, lose an armor. But now you can actually like hold on to that armor a little bit. So this perk now with the buff is like it's not literally unusable, but it's still absurdly fucking terrible. Because 20% less melee damage, like, is it that much, frankly? And anything that's actually going to kill you with melee, think elites, bosses, extremists, etc. Those things, they don't care if they do 20% less damage. They're just going to bully you anyway, hit you with one heavy, take away half your health. And range damage is either so little as to not matter, 10% more or less, or it is one massive charged up sniper shot, in which case, yeah, 10% more really fucking sucks. Anyway, the moment your armor is fully depleted, you take 15% less health damage. What's that? It's another do nothing perk row? Wow, it's another row of perks that literally don't fucking matter. You can already perfect parry with 100% consistency without this, so this is a wasted slot. Who gives a fuck? 15% less health damage isn't that much. 10 seconds isn't that long. And if my armor's in line to get depleted, I'm already running away. Or just using, like, a melt-a-gun to keep contested health up. Now that the bug has been patched, it's still really good at re-topping off your health. So I guess now with the new patch, this is like the best setup some fucking how. But then you come to the conclusion, melee is fucking awful. This is like one of the worst melees. It's still better than the Thunder Hammer, by the way. Hey, nice little fucking Easter egg, adding the Dark Tide knife skin to the game and making the knife better than the Thunder Hammer. Cool little callback to the other 40k game. I really appreciate that one. So yeah, this is another row of effectively fucking do-nothing perks. Alright, well, maybe the third perk. You know what the problem here is? These are the core class perks, but this class doesn't have a core or an identity. You know, these three perks need an entire rework, and they need to all be around perfect parry and perfect dodge. You need these perks to not be melee focused. This needs to be like 50% gun strike damage. This needs to be gun strikes, non-lethal, restore armor. This needs to be something like, you know, after perfect parry, increase gun strike damage by 100%. So this needs to be that. And then these perks need to be like, restore an armor segment on every perfect parry. You know, this needs to be like, you know, adds AoE damage on perfect dodge on trash mobs. Shit like that. If the core of the perk is like this finesse parry style duelist, then it doesn't need melee damage. It needs finesse shit. Anyway, wow, I'm gonna let myself get grabbed to do a negligible amount of damage extra. So what? Let's say we're fighting an extremist, so we can use this perk. Do I have to let the extremist grab me, take 70% of my health off? Then I get to do 30% damage for 10 seconds? when the Melt-A-Gun already out DPSs this? Who the fuck designed this? Killing 10 enemies in rapid succession. So, you know, this can basically only happen during big horde events. And assuming you throw a grenade or shoot a Melta into a freshly spawned horde, get that grenade back once every 3 minutes. I'm not even dignifying this with an explanation. It's bad. When your health is less than 50%, your perfect dodge window is doubled. You know how I know the people who designed this game think you, the person listening to this, are an idiot? Here's how I know that's what they think. Because, look, perfect parry increased by 50%. You already have 30 frames to do this. That's triple like what you have in a Souls game. Right here, your perfect dodge window is doubled. You already have like 25 frames to do this. Again, that's like double what you have in a Souls game. Like, they think that what people who want to play the perfect parry, perfect dodge class need is a bigger window to perfect parry and perfect dodge. Not that they need to make doing those perfect dodges and parries more rewarding. They need to make it easier to do them when it's already literally like Batman Arkham levels of doing it. This perk needs to say, gun strikes after perfect dodge do 100% more damage. This needs to say, gun strikes after perfect parry do 100% increase more damage. And this needs to say, gun strikes, non-lethal gun strikes restore 1 thing of armor. Then you'd have a really good and honestly pretty fun class. But as it stands, literally there's not a single good perk. These first 3 perks, you could literally remove them from the class and nothing would change. The class would be objectively unchanged. Literally fucking throw darts when deciding your first 3 perks and it doesn't matter. Okay, maybe the team perks can save it. Oh my god, 15% more damage to the worst damage. So what, maybe you're supposed to go melee champion, retribution, melee mastery, let yourself get grabbed intentionally, and now you have 10 seconds of like, you know, 45% more damage or whatever the fuck. You know? Okay, but then you recognize that you do more damage to more targets by just clicking M1 with the Melta rifle. You restore more health that way, and you don't have to worry about, you know, you don't have to worry about taking damage. And any damage you do take, you automatically restore all of your contested health. So, all of these perks, this entire playstyle is invalidated by the fact that this can out DPS this and do it from the safety of range and give you all your health back. Well, nowadays it's all your contested health back, which is still more than melee does for you. So it's better for health regen, it's better for damage output, and it's better for taking less damage. Why the fuck would you ever want this? Okay. Melee finishers of extremist levels enemies. So not even terminuses, it's not extremists or higher, not majorises, just extremists. You know those things that if you're unlucky 2 spawn per mission, in an average run 1 of them spawns per mission? And if you're playing on lower difficulties, like below Roofless, you probably won't even see 1 per mission. Like, if you're playing Substantial or lower, you'll go 2 or 3 missions without seeing a single one. Yeah, that enemy type, that incredibly specific and niche enemy type, everybody restores like 10% health back on a finisher. And no, it's not even for all squad members. I'm sorry, it's for any squad member. So one guy, one time per mission, gets like 5 to 10% health back. That is how this perk reads. How could you ever think this perk is useful? No, genuinely. Genuinely. Compare that to Bulwark's contested health perk. Oh, we have like 50% more time to get our health back versus one guy one time getting like 5% health back. How could you think this was even worthy of being a perk? Dude, this is like, I don't even know. This shouldn't even be on the screen right now. This might be the worst perk in the game. And then you get this. All squad members get 15% ability recharge back by performing finishers. Some people have told me that this class is S tier because this perk, the Vanguard does a finisher and everyone gets the 15% ult back. That is not how this reads. So I just want to do a little bit of clarification here, because that is absolutely not how this shit reads. It reads the same way this perk does. A kill restores for any squad member. It does not say a kill restores ability charge for all squad members. This is not you get a headshot kill and everyone gets ult back. This is a teammate gets a headshot kill and they get ult back. Just like this. So this is substantially worse than the sniper's version, because with the sniper's version, people can just pull out a bolt pistol and then just spam shots into a horde and just start one-tapping the trash mobs. And every kill they get gives them 10% back. This requires them to do an execution, which is already dubious if they're playing a good class that has a melta. And then, let's assume they do an execution. Guess what? Well, now it's nice. Like, it's nice when you proc it, but this is the worst, like, ability charge perk in the game. Honestly, I feel like Assault might give you more uses per capita, because, like, only one person can be getting the finishers, and elites usually spawn in no more than packs of 3. You're unlucky if you get a big, like, pack of 5. That isn't even guaranteed to happen. You know, you might kill 50 of this enemy type per run. So assuming you finish every single one, you know, that's like 6 extra ultimates. Whereas Assault's passive do nothing restore is in the ballpark of like 3 to 5, depending on how long the mission goes for. Who the fuck is messaging me? Dude! Okay, there, I put myself on Do Not Disturb. Okay, so now we get into the dive kick perks, and guess what? Dive kick perks are somehow, they're not as bad as the core perks, but they're still borderline unusable, most of these. Seriously, this class needs a legitimate rework. This is the worst perk tree in the game. This class literally only has the melter rifle, and that's it. After diving kick, you take 10% less range damage for 10 seconds. Saber, can I just have a chat with you real quick? 10% damage is nothing. It's not that much when you do it, and it's not that much reduction when you don't take it. So, range damage, all but one ranged attack. You have the Hellbrutes ranged attacks, the Neuranthropes ranged attacks, and the sniper charges. But those aren't the attacks that hit you most of the time. Most of the time, you get hit by trash mob shots. You get hit by bolters from the Thousand Suns. You get hit by the Hormagaunts or whatever they're called. Those attacks do like 3 damage per hit. This won't even give you a quarter of a bar of health saved in how little damage it's reducing. And that's assuming you actually play a chaos mission where range damage is super prevalent. This is nice on the heavy because it is a bonus for his ultimate. It is not a class perk that he has to, you know, take points into. It also doesn't only last for 10 seconds. Diving kick deals damage in 5-meter radius. Ah, yes, so that the enemies around me don't instantly hit me as soon as the dive kick ends. A problem the class shouldn't even fucking have is fixed by a perk you shouldn't even need to take. Because if you actually look at what this perk does, 5-meter radius is literally nothing. The Melta has like a 7 or 8 meter radius, so this is like, this is shit. then it's not even enough damage to kill. You're just using it so that you don't instantly get attacked by trash mobs and, like, put in the stun lock blender. Dive kick deals a small amount of damage to enemies on the way to the target. So what's better? Just kicking the target and doing a small AoE around you, which has the unlisted benefit of stunning enemies so that you don't instantly get fucking attacked when the dive kick ends? Or like the 7... the only way for this perk to be good, I want you to actually think about this. Saber, I know that whoever designed this thought they were cute. Oh, you're gonna use this to go through the horde to then, you know, flank the enemies and get in the face of their gunners and take them down. But Saber, that sounds good in a design meeting if people have never played a video game before. So here's what actually happens when you do that. You do the dive kick through the horde. They take a small amount of damage, by the way. Not even a noticeable amount, just a small amount. So they take like a pistol fucking body shot amount of damage. And then do you know what happens? Because you didn't take this perk, the enemies that are around the elite you're trying to, you know, zip line into, they jump on you and you take damage. Now you are surrounded by enemies with the garbage melee system as your only close quarters defense. So you're surrounded, unable to be helped, with no defense, and locked into an animation. Who the fuck made this? I guess the idea is you're supposed to take this so that the inevitable damage you take with this playstyle doesn't get you eviscerated in 2 seconds. By the way, these are the same people that originally made the armor system work so that if anything touches you at all, you instantly lose a piece of armor. I just really feel the need to point that out there. Saber, like, what the fuck was the point? These perks now, like 2-3 weeks after launch, can defend armor. Like, this just shows me that Saber has no idea what they're doing. None of these perks, how the system is now, isn't even good enough to want to play like this. And the system is already like twice as strong as it was yesterday when I made the other videos. So like, I don't like, they are literally making massive foundational reworks to core game systems and making them like twice as strong. And they're still not good enough. That's how far you missed the mark. Anyway, performing a finisher deals a, oh my fucking god, small amount of damage. Oh, okay, no, that's the playstyle right there. You zipline through the horde to an enemy that needs to be finished, so the horde takes a small amount of damage. And now, you automatically execute with the zipline to deal another small amount of damage to everything around you, to get the same amount of normal, non-small amount of damage that this would have dealt to everything around you. Huh. Okay. You know how I said this might be the worst perk in the game? This is the worst perk in the game. Right here. We are going to read the absurdity that is tenacity together. And I just want you to know, I am the biggest fucking hater of this perk on planet Earth. Honestly, I'm going to upload a video of me just schizo ranting really loudly about this perk. Because I have never seen a fucking failure of game design as bad as this perk. Okay, hold on. No. Before we read that, we need to read this perk. Enemies marked by Auspex scan take an additional 100% damage. Scan lasts for 8 seconds. Or, I'm sorry, for 12 seconds. So, all enemies in an AoE area take 100% damage for 12 seconds. Okay? You got that? Now, let's read this perk. After killing 10 enemies in 2 seconds, Dive Kick deals 25% more damage for 10 seconds. Can only proc once every 30 seconds. Every attack from every team member, including their ultimate, including their grenade, deals double damage for 12 seconds to all enemies in an area. All team members deal 10% more damage. All gun strikes from all team members do 50% more damage. Upon leaving cloak, something you can do every 5 seconds, deal 75% more damage. 20% damage for standing still on a class that's invisible and doesn't get targeted. After killing 10 enemies in 2 seconds, this very bad and specific form of damage increases by 25%, only for 10 seconds, so it's possible to miss the timing, not finding an enemy you can even latch onto. And if you do miss the timing, there's a 30-second delay before you're allowed to use this again. Was this supposed to be a very different game? Did this game just receive a massive rework before launch? Who thought this was okay? Who hurt you? Why did you not want Vanguard to have any fun? There's so many things wrong with this perk. Even if the dive kick increased by fucking 300% damage, the conditionals make this hardly worth using. There are 3 conditionals to this perk. 10 kills in 2 seconds, 10-second duration, and you can only proc it every 30 seconds. This will never work against a boss. This will never work on an extremist because those generally don't spawn during horde events. This perk can only ever be used during a massive horde, which only really spawns Majorises. And 25% damage is nothing. This literally needs to read, after killing 10 enemies in rapid succession, dive kick damage increases by 1000% for 10 seconds, cooldown is 30 seconds. That way, you can just, if you manage to proc it, you could just instantly pick off like 2 elites for free. You'd still be surrounded by enemies, mind you, but at least the biggest threats are dead. This perk is so bad. Whoever signed off on this perk needs to be sat down, and they need to just go through re-education. Enemies hit by dive kick take 15% more range damage for 10 seconds. This is the only not terrible perk in the entire class. It's just a generic. By the way though, enemies. So you need to have your ult off cooldown. You need to spend the ult attacking something, which again, mind you, puts you surrounded because it puts you in front of the enemy. And then they take 15% damage, only for 10 seconds. While your ultimate is off cooldown, all range damage against everything increases by 15%. Who the fuck made this? Who the fuck made this fucking class? None of these perks are good! After a perfectly timed parry or dodge, you take 15% less health damage for 3 seconds. Okay, first off, why is this a gear perk? I thought perfect timed parry and dodge was a core perk and belongs over here. So you're not even consistent with your own perk rules. Second off, I don't need to take less health damage for 3 seconds. I already perfectly dodged the attack that was gonna take my health away. I already did the defensive thing that beats the incoming damage. I don't need a defensive reward. The active defense has already been done. I need a bigger damage reward for that defense. I need a way to convert my defense into offense. Look, I already did the perfect parry. I don't need to take 15% less health damage for 3 seconds. Because you know what? A gun strike lasts 3 seconds. This perk basically reads, if you're a dumbass and decided to do the underpowered gun strike that should have iframes but doesn't, if you do that and you get hit during that gun strike, take negligible less amount of damage. This should just say, follow-up gun strikes after a perfect parry or dodge deal 30% more damage for 3 seconds. There you go. That would be a good perk. when it's on cooldown, like, why? Like, okay, but like, why though? Like, actually, but like, why though? Though be it though, like, actually, like, why though? I guess I combine this with this, so now I do 25% more damage? Yippee! Grapel launcher recharges 20% faster. Okay, but the Grapel launcher isn't fucking good. It deals no fucking damage. It doesn't apply any real buffs or debuffs that I want. And it puts me in a position where I'm surrounded by enemies if I use it. Do I even care if I can shoot out more of these? It's all bad. Every perk is bad. This class is as strong at level 1 as it is at level 25. Some fucking how. It has a single good perk. Performing a finisher restores its charge. Okay, that's cool. But guess what? You don't need to spend the grapple launcher to finish an enemy. You can just finish them. Ooh, lethal damage restores all armor. Have you considered just not dying in the first place? I don't know. I think it's pretty fucking easy to not die in this super easy game. Hell, I don't even take this perk in Darktide. And Darktide's way... Like, this has way more value there. Melee kills of Majoris level or higher enemies restore health by 10%. Saber, if this said restores health by 1% and applied to every enemy kill, I still wouldn't take it. 10% for just, like, I guess it's the best perk in the row, but who gives a fuck because it means you have to use melee. Hey, you know what would make this perk really good? If it said restores health by 10% every perfect parry and dodge. Why doesn't every... I don't understand the point of this class. Do you want it to be the class, the buckler shield of classes, that focuses on perfect parrying and perfect dodging? Or do you want it to be a melee-focused class? And if you want it to be a melee-focused class, melee damage is already covered by assault, and melee defense is already covered by bulwark. So is Vanguard supposed to be just, like, melee finesse, using dodging and parrying as its primary form? But primary form of what? You have no damage to increase it, so you can't say it finds its damage by, you know, mastering the active defensive mechanics, because it gets no damage. It's unironically like Saber was definitely afraid of gun strikes being really strong, but they didn't, like, foresee that they were going to be really weak, because absolutely no one on the team takes PvE seriously. I don't know, man. This class fucking sucks. Literally, this is the only reason you play this class. If you take away the Melter Rifle, this becomes the single worst class in the entire game. Worse than Assault, worse than Bulwark, worse than everything else. This class literally doesn't have a functional skill tree. This class is basically just a sentient walking Melter Rifle.